Hey, I'm Candice. I live full time in my van with my sweet pug Lincoln. I love checking out weird, cool, and unique places. I'm going to introduce you to a man who took Heartbreak to an unreal level. He built an entire castle from several tons of coral using only tools made from junkyard scraps. Some say he unlocked the secrets of magnetism and anti gravity, while others think he got help from aliens. I'm taking you on a ride through Homestead, Florida. Sitting between Miami and the Florida Keys, this place grows just about every tropical fruit you can think of: avocado, mango, lychee, guava. I had to grab myself a smoothie from this crazy popular fruit stand called Robert is Here, and it was so good. But where I want to take you to is one of my favorite places ever: Coral Castle. It's a curious place built by a pretty bizarre guy. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to record video in here, but I did get some solid pics. Now, before we dive in, let's adjust your expectations of the word castle, because if you're picturing some grand fairy tale palace, you're going to be very confused. Coral Castle is over 2 million pounds of limestone stacked together as a monument to the one that got away. And it was built entirely by one man. This place is a very strange story of unrequited love and mad genius. Meet Ed Leedskalnin, a Latvian stonemason born in 1887. When he was 28, he was ready to marry a 16-year-old girl named Agnes Skabitz, who he lovingly called his Sweet 16. Well, Agnes decided he was way too old for her. She went, "Nah, I don't think so," and refused to marry him. So, what does a man do after losing his one true love? Well, if you're Ed, you immediately move to America, bounce around the West Coast, get tuberculosis, then settle in Florida. By the way, the city he made home, the first settlers were people who moved down from Detroit, Michigan. They thought, hey, let's move to Florida, start our own little town, and we'll call it Detroit. Very creative. They had some drama with the locals and then just went back home. After they left, Detroit, Florida was renamed to Florida City. So, yeah, in 1923, Ed moved to Florida City and started on what would be the next 28 years of excavating, carving, and stacking tons of coral rock to build his home. There was no construction crew, just this one guy who was 5 feet tall, weighed 120 pounds, had poor health, and a fourth grade education. He made all his tools from junkyard car parts and just went for it. He opened up his home as an attraction called Ed's Place and charged 10 cents to check it out. Adjusted for inflation, that's about $1.60 in today's money. Not in this economy. It actually costs $25 to get in now. In 1939, Ed decided to move his home out of Florida City. So he built a trailer, borrowed a buddy's truck, and it took around 2 years to move the entire structure 10 miles north to the city of Homestead, where we are today. I have been to Coral Castle so many times. Anytime someone was visiting me, I'd take them here or tell people they have to check it out. Now, I moved out of Miami a few years ago, so I was surprised to find out you can't touch anything anymore. I have pictures of my son and my nephews rocking on the coral chairs and pretending to sleep on the coral beds. Yes, everything is made of coral. So I was pretty disappointed. But our tour guide let us know a couple years ago, a piece chipped off the tip of the crescent moon statue, and they instantly went into preservation mode. Totally understandable. So, what have we got in this love shrine? This is a 9-ton gate that was so perfectly balanced, It could be pushed open with one finger. It worked flawlessly for decades, until it didn't. Engineers and scientists have tried to figure out how to fix it with no luck. But there is a 3-ton gate that still works, and it's pretty impressive. Here is a 20-ton, 20-foot tall telescope that is perfectly aligned to view the North Star. Ed loved sitting on this rocking chair above the sundial that doesn't just tell the time, but also the month and the equinoxes. Look up Billy Idol's music video, Sweet 16, and you'll see him playing his guitar from this very chair. So this is a geographically correct dining table in the shape of Florida. There's an 8-inch indentation representing Lake Okeechobee that is kept filled with water, for accuracy, of course, and the world's largest Valentine, a 2.5-ton heart-shaped table in honor of Ed's Sweet 16, who had definitely moved on with her life by the time he carved this out. So how did he do it? Some of these pieces weigh several tons each, yet he carved and moved everything into place completely by himself. Some say he unlocked the secrets of magnetism and anti-gravity. Others think he had supernatural powers or got help from aliens. Ed wrote in his book, The Key of Leedskalnin, that he knew the secrets of the pyramids. When anyone asked, he'd say, "It's not that difficult if you know how." All right then, keep your secrets. Well, Ed worked on Coral Castle until one day in 1951. He put a sign on the door that said, "Going to the hospital," and took a bus into Miami to Jackson Memorial Hospital. He never came back home. A month later, he passed away of a kidney infection at 64 years old. He was then laid to rest in Miami Memorial Park Cemetery. Ed never got married, so he had no one to leave his home to. He never even dated, as far as anyone knows. As a matter of fact, Agnes, his Sweet 16, she may have never actually existed. There's no record of her, and no one in his family knew what anyone was talking about when asked about her. On one hand, he made up this whole story of a teenager who didn't want to marry him. On the other hand, he was really heartbroken and devoted the rest of his life to building this shrine to her. I don't know how I feel about all that. All I know is Ed took a lot of secrets to his grave. With no will, the castle went to his nephew, who immediately sold it to his friend, Julius Levin. In 1953, Julius renamed it to Coral Castle and continued to operate it as a tourist attraction. Coral Castle was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1984. So what do you think? Was Ed a genius with ancient knowledge? Were aliens giving him otherworldly construction advice? Or was he just the most determined ex-boyfriend in history? Drop me a comment and let me know what your theory is. Okay, ciao ciao.